discussion back in November as well. So we thought it would be helpful for the board to hear from the Lakewood Police Department. And Sarah was able to set up a presentation today from Quinn Pratt Cordova. Or would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Agent Quinn Pratt Cordova. I'm one of the CAT team agents here at the PD. And I'm normally who speaks at the Alameda Connects meetings every month. I brought a few of my colleagues here with me, and I'll let them introduce themselves because they have a piece of this as well today. So
I'm Matt Wellington. I'm one of the homeless navigators with the CAT team.
I'm Princess Griffin, and I'm also a homeless navigator with the CAT team.
So these are two of my colleagues that we work with every day. They are quite literally boots on the ground, just like we are, out on the street with us quite often and helping to outreach individuals. So they've got some stuff that they'll go over today. So talking to Sarah in preparation for this meeting, she was looking to have us present to y'all what kind of our ongoing efforts are here on the CAT team, as well as some educational points for business owners that you guys can bring to some of your colleagues, some of the things that we feel are important for y'all to know. And there was some word about some support efforts. I think, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, you were looking for like what you guys can do to help support us if need be. So we've got a few ideas about that. So we'll talk a little bit about homeless navigation. That'll be maybe the bulk of this, and I'll talk a little bit about our lead casework, which is a brand new program, our law enforcement assisted diversion, as well as our Jefferson Center for Mental Health casework. Just some basic stats and some of the things that those caseworkers are doing. So including these two caseworkers, we have 6 caseworkers in the office now, working alongside our law enforcement officers out on the street. So I'll let kind of Matt and Princess go ahead first and kind of fill in on kind of what their daily work is with homeless navigation, and I might pepper in here and there. So,
well, nice to see you all. Thank you for having us. What Princess and I do is we really try to connect with people experiencing homelessness in Lakewood. And we found it's much more effective if we can provide people with the resources, knowledge, and connections they need to actually make more positive steps, rather than going the enforcement route all the time. So we do ride-alongs. We'll go along with them with the CAT team as co-responders. And when we engage with people experiencing homelessness, we kind of get to know what their most immediate needs are, what some of the more longer term needs are, with always on an eye for trying to connect with more of a permanent housing solution so that we can kind of move people forward rather than just kind of shuffling them along. So we've been working in the homeless community combined for 30 years between us. So we have a good working relationship with a lot of the other service providers in the metro area so that we can provide really good up-to-date resources. And the other thing we do is sometimes that can be a really intimidating to try to connect with those services. So we try to do warm handoffs, make connections, do things so that people aren't just making phone calls and not getting any phone calls back, that they're actually connecting with the services they need. So we develop a lot of community partnerships. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of people who are medically fragile. So we developed a really good working relationship with Stride Community Health, with the Atlantis community, with the ARC, with Brain Injury Alliance, with DDRC, which works with people with developmental disabilities, so that we can offer a lot more resources to people. We're finding right now that homelessness just isn't like a single issue for people. It's not that they're just dealing with one issue. It's usually a combination of different things. So it could be mental health, physical health, substance abuse, loss of work, domestic violence. And so we try to have all of those type of arrows in our quiver so we can help people where they're at with what they need in real time.
So some of the cool things that Matt kind of informed me of today that they're working on, they also work closely with Jefferson County Homeless Navigation, so they have counterparts that work overall within the county. One cool program that we're excited about is that They're working on turning a pre-existing police command vehicle into a county-wide mobile navigation unit. And what that vehicle will have in it is complete access to the internet, printers, and other on-hand resources for folks in the community that are going through homelessness. So having that mobile resource is super important, because currently kind of what we have going on is the back of our police cars are stuffed with all kinds of resources, and so it'd be nice to kind of have something that's a little more central for the county. They're also working with other community partners like Benefits in Action, Reciprocity Collective, and Rocky Mountain Behavioral Health. So they have close relationships with them as well. Let's see, what else are we doing here? How many clients are you guys currently working with right now, would you say?
Outreach, we see about 10 people a day. On our caseloads, probably like 20 people that we're working more ongoing with. They might have a little bit more severity to their situation. But yeah, and then we meet new people almost every day.
Yeah.
And since they've been with us, and it's been what now, year or so, a couple of years?
A little bit over a year.
A little bit over a year. We think that we're right around that 150 people off the street permanently now because of the work that these two do directly with them. So that's a pretty incredible number, I would say. And it really just speaks to their professionalism and the resources that they're able to unlock, you know, working with the police department. And this is something that, I mean, we didn't have this ability to do this prior to having these navigators with us. So it really just, you know, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. And we've seen the results firsthand. We've been able to get people off the streets and keep them off the streets permanently by, you know, having these two folks work with them all the way through from start to finish, you know, working with these resources. So it's a really great program. We're very excited. We're happy that we're moving that way. And what you're seeing is a lot of police departments in the surrounding areas and surrounding states are going to be starting to follow the model that we're kind of adopting and championing here at Lakewood. So anything else more on homeless navigation that you guys are doing?
I just think it's important to note that we're trying to like connect with people to improve the quality of life, and I think that's kind of the start of just getting them on their feet and getting them to the next step. And even if that's just providing them with the basic necessities like showers and meals, just to get them to a point where they're able to move to the next step. We're starting as little as something like that and trying to work them all the way up until a permanent housing solution, like Matt talked about. So I just think it's great work, and that's what we're working for.
So to speak a little bit about LEAD. So LEAD is our law enforcement assisted diversion program, where we have one caseworker that's been in the office for a little while now and a second one that is soon to be hired. So we'll have two caseworkers working on that. And what LEAD is really, the purpose of LEAD is to take low-level offenders, which in many cases can be some of our folks that are going through homelessness who, you know, who maybe have to shoplift out of necessity, things of that nature, low-level crimes. We're talking low-level drug, alcohol, substance abuse type crimes. LEAD is really built to help those people stay out of the court system, and they have to be willing to work with us first. But the reason for that program and the way that will work on, and we're working towards a July 1st start date with our caseworkers, is that let's say I contact somebody on the street, maybe I'm with Matt or with Princess, and we're contacting them after they've committed some sort of low-level crime, right? And we realize that if you look at their record, it's just a bunch of constant low-level crimes, and being in the court system and constantly having to sit in front of a judge isn't helping the situation. It's not attacking the underlying cause of what's going on with them, like addiction, alcohol, or drugs. Our LEAD caseworker is able to go in, and if these people agree to work with us with LEAD, we have the ability and the power to essentially get rid of their court cases, as long as they're willing to work with us moving forward and are willing to put themselves into treatment centers and into other resources like Jefferson Center for Mental Health. So we really think that's a proactive program to change the pattern up, change the record, so to speak, for some of these folks that have just constantly been in these cycles of addiction, or you know, and they steal or something like that to feed those habits. So that's where LEAD is really going to work. Currently, our LEAD caseworker is active in social context, so they're starting to take people in. Matt and I actually over the last week have worked with a gentleman that we think is perfect for lead and will hopefully be one of our first clients there. But so we're doing social contacts right now, which is essentially we're starting to keep book of some of these folks that we're going to approach to be in that lead program here in Lakewood. The one thing with lead is that with businesses, so let's say Walmart is having a lot of shoplifts, and they, you know, a lot of those folks could be really good for lead. The businesses have to be okay with us using lead with those people over criminal charges. So if like loss prevention or someone, you know, or it could be any of the businesses in Alameda Connects, especially in Belmar, if we have frequent shoplifters, things of that nature, those businesses, if we're going to come out and do those warm handoffs with our caseworkers and the police out there, they have to be okay with those programs being used. We're not just going to carte blanche use them and take away their ability to prosecute if they want to, you know, to protect their property. So it's going to have to be a partnership. So we're really excited about that program, and it has shown to be effective. When you look out to Longmont, they have a very successful lead program there with 8 caseworkers, and they've seen a 50% drop in arrests and law enforcement contacts because of this program. So it's quite substantial what LEAD's able to do. Our LEAD program is going to start up on the kind of the Colfax corridor. You can kind of picture in your mind, it's going to start from Wadsworth to Sheridan and 10th to Colfax, or 10th to 20th. I'm sorry. And the reason for that is we want to have a pilot program start in a smaller area where we really see these issues happening on a large scale, and that's definitely up in that area. So that's why we're starting up there. So yeah, we're real excited about LEAD. We think it's gonna do really well. I'll also speak quickly into our JCMH caseworkers. We have 2 on site here in the office, just on the other side of the TV here. Jefferson Center for Mental Health, we have 2 caseworkers. They're currently carrying about 60 to 80 overall clients that they're working for in services, and each one of them has about 15 to 20 active clients that are long-term, so that they've been working with them for a while now and will continue to work with them as their providers. That co-responder program is expanding. They can come out with us when need be as well, and sometimes we do bring them out. What you'll see in Jefferson County is that co-responder program with JCMH is rapidly expanding. So now Edgewater, Lakeside, and Mountain View communities are also going to be represented by 2 caseworkers total. So right now you see Lakewood, Jeffco, Golden, Wheat Ridge, and Arvada all have caseworkers already in place, and those last 3 cities there are going to have caseworkers here soon, so that the entirety of Jefferson County is going to have JCMH casework. And I know that that's probably where homeless navigation is going as well. I would imagine you're going to see these cities all kind of adopting programs like this. So with JCMH, a couple of things that are important for business owners like yourselves is that please understand that the caseworkers don't respond alone. They're not like our homeless navigators who have that autonomy to go out if and when they need to. They have to go through CAT, and they have to be with CAT. When we're dealing with people that are experiencing mental health problems, it's a little more dangerous generally. So, and that's different from Denver's STAR program. Denver has a program where they have a paramedic and a mental health caseworker that they're just on their own, and they just drive around the city all day responding to those calls. So that's a bit different from their program. This, like, city employees or businesses can't just refer to JCMH, they have to go through us. So if you guys know anybody or you're experiencing any of those issues in the businesses that you're involved in with some of those folks, just understand that if you're looking to get JCMH caseworkers out to those people, you need to be going through the PD or you need to be going through us with the CAT team. And I know that Sarah and Tom have my contact information and the contact information of my supervisors as well for that. So be aware of that. One exciting thing that one of my caseworkers told me today, if any of you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about mental health first aid, JCMH does put those classes on for free. I know that Sarah has recently taken advantage of getting involved and getting a CEPTED certification, so that's cool. But on the JCMH side, there are mental health first aid classes that they put on through their speakers bureau, and I've got a phone number if anyone's interested, I can send it through to Sarah, and she can hand that out if anyone wants to get some of those classes. They're free, and it might help you to kind of deal with some of those folks that are out and about and maybe contacting you or employees at businesses. So let's see here, what else do I have? I want to talk a little bit about, and also just allow Matt and Princess to talk a bit about some of the educational points for your businesses, if we can, about kind of how to deal with folks that are going through homelessness. And I'll kind of let Matt take over on that point, on some of his kind of do's and don'ts on what we think works. So
a lot of times we get asked by businesses what they can do to be proactive if there's a lot of homeless activity in their area. And so we have kind of a list of do's and don'ts that might be helpful. And we can also send this along so you have a physical copy of it. One of the best things to do is keep the area in front of your business clean and well maintained. If you kind of set that precedent that this is a clean place to be, others usually respect that.
And if I can interject real quick, this is something Sarah knows about. This is CEPTED principles, and that natural surveillance piece, keeping your businesses nice and kept, landscaping nice and kept. It shows a sense of ownership, and that's an important piece. If you got bushes overgrown, trees overgrown, as it relates to the homelessness, you could end up with camps starting to get put up out there. So
get to know your CAT team. So there's several agents involved. There's a phone number you can call if you have issues with people who are experiencing homelessness. And that phone number is 303-987-7423. And again, we'll send this on to you. If you've got people who are around your business and they won't leave, like if you've asked them nicely, you're well within your rights to say, hey, can you not be on my property? If that doesn't work, then you can call us. You can call the non-emergency number, and I have that as well. If it's kind of unruly or you don't feel safe, you can also call 911. One of the bigger things is the more attractive things around your property and business are things like exposed electrical outlets and water spigots. So if you have those that can be reached by anybody, that's more enticing. So if you've got outlets, purchase outlet covers and locks. If you've got like a faucet spigot for water, make sure that that's covered. You can get those supplies at almost any of the hardware stores. Motion activated sensors at night with lights can be very helpful. If you're having a continuing issue, you can also ask to get a trespass notice, and Lakewood Police can do that. That's placed on file, and so if there's somebody trespassing when you're not there or you're closed, they have the authority to trespass on your behalf. If you're really interested in trying to help people, there's a couple of local agencies that are dedicated to helping the homeless here in Lakewood. One is Mean Street Ministries, and the other is the Action Center. So you can always direct people there. You can also call Princess and I. We have our own number. So if you want to call the navigators, you can call us at 987-7773.
So they have their own hotline that you guys can reach out to as well, and that goes directly to one of the two of them, and they'll field those calls pretty much every single day. So, one of the things it's a hard sell, but it's something that we do like to mention, is that sometimes generosity can be harmful, okay? And what we mean by that is that, if you start offering to one person, you might end up in a situation where you're having to offer for all, right? So just a quick example, like if you're allowing people or a person to use a bathroom or a phone at your business, if they're asking to use those things, understand that you're probably not giving them the feeling that this is just a one-time deal. A lot of times these folks will assume that this is just open forever, and then we end up kind of responding to those issues later on. LPD CAT and our homeless navigators were the answer, okay? And I think that, that's a bold statement, but I think my colleagues would agree with me. Like, you want to get to know us, you want to be able to call us and get us out there to deal with some of these problems, because if you're constantly offering things out to people, we just don't want to see you guys being taken advantage of. And it's really important, obviously, as being business owners and involved in this organization, that, you know, your private property rights are still very, very, very important, and we want to make sure that that remains a sticking point. So
if you can refer to us, refer to the other agencies, like so that, because those people are designed to be able to do that help. Other thing to do is don't offer food or money. That can actually just start, like we were just saying, it's hard to say no once you say yes. A lot of times we'll get people who will say, can I just store my stuff or stay on your property just overnight for a couple of hours? Yeah, don't do that. Don't allow people to store their stuff or stay, even if it's for a little while, because it's much more difficult to get going once people are kind of entrenched in one place. So if somebody's like, hey, do you mind if I store this here, or can I stay here overnight? The more compassionate answer is actually no, because it just kind of perpetuates the problem, and it isn't solution focused. It just kind of keeps perpetuating the problem.
Princess, do you have anything on some of those?
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, so you like to say no is one thing, and then kind of follow up with a resource. Whether it's giving them our number so that we can provide them with a place that they can go for the night, or a place they can use the bathroom. So I think a no and then a follow-up resource is key, so that they know where they can go and get those things taken care of.
Yeah. And there's this misconception that we get, especially from the homeless, that there is no resources for them. There's no one out there trying to help. No one wants to help. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, there are resources out there. You have two of the best ones in the entire country standing right in front of you, who have literally taken these people off the street. So those resources are there. They're available for them. And it's just all about getting connected with the right people in order to get them on the right track. Okay, and you guys, it's important for you all to worry about your businesses. Keep those businesses clean and safe, and allow us to do the work that we're hired to do. I'm not saying don't take compassion. I'm not saying don't do any of those things, but just be aware of how that could go the wrong way for you. And we really just want to be those resources for those people. That's what we're paid to do, and we have, you know, we've got the keys to all those cabinets, so to speak. So, in terms of ongoing efforts of how you guys could support us if need be, Sarah, you asked about bathrooms or something behind businesses. There were some folks that were interested in that. And you know, Matt and I discussed this, and I'm sure Princess would agree that I think putting up porta potties for the homeless behind your business is probably not a good idea. I think that's just going to invite a whole lot of activity that you don't necessarily need or want. You know, there are other places where these folks can go to the bathroom and things like that. So for anyone that was asking those questions, I think it's just the position of our team that's probably not best practice. There are places that those folks can go. In terms of helping us, we always accept clothing and hygiene donations. We have a stock room, a couple rooms behind us, just full of stuff that we kind of keep in the works in our vehicles. So those are always helpful by us, or for us. So, you know, really, I think the best way you can support us is continue to utilize the resources we have in this office with the 10 officers, 2 sergeants, and 6 caseworkers. We are well prepared to do this job and utilize us. That's what we ask. So I think for today, that's probably it for us, unless you guys have anything else.
No.
Does anyone have any questions for us?
Yeah, if I understand you guys correctly, I own a center in the area at Alameda and Sheridan, and I wish my property manager were on the phone now, but he's on a plane at the moment. I just want to confirm, capsulize or summarize what you said. We have had an ongoing problem with homeless people, and we've tried to handle it as diplomatically and compassionately as possible, but I'm hearing you loud and clear that basically the bottom line is call you guys, get you involved right away, correct?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with your tenants out there Is that kind of the deal? Is it like a strip mall, or is it something?
It's Alameda Crossing, which is right at the corner of Alameda and Sheridan, that used to have an Albertsons and now has a Viet Ho market in there.
That whole area there. So I don't think there's anything wrong with your tenants going out and asking if they feel comfortable, you know, people to leave and reminding them that this is private property, and if you don't have a legitimate use of this property, shopping, whatever, you're not welcome here. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think the second that somebody, you know, isn't cooperative with you, absolutely call us. That's what we get paid to do. But in terms of the long-term resources, like what we're trying to caution you all against is just starting to give handouts out of the grocery store. Does that make sense?
Right.
You know, we've got those abilities down. I'm not saying to not do those things, but we just find that in our line of work, that seems to be what best practice is, because we've all three contacted folks that are very generous, very helpful. But you know, a bad analogy for that would be feed the squirrels, right? Like, don't feed the squirrels. Like, it's just going to keep happening. And so, you know, we really want to kind of be the ones that spearhead those resources, because we know the right ways to steer people and the right places to send them, where they're not taking advantage of private property owners and businesses.
And
Yeah.
one important, I'm sorry, is consistency. If you've got one tenant who's a green light tenant and another tenant who's a red light tenant, that green light tenant's going to be the one who's going to be attracting a lot more activity on your property. So there needs to be a pretty clear message that's longitudinal across all the properties there.
And the other thing I'll add to that real quick is that if you're ending up with camps starting to amass behind businesses or wherever it is, please understand that when those camps are on private property, it's not the responsibility of the CAT team or the police department to clean those camps up. Because it's private property, that's the responsibility of the property owner. Our responsibility starts on city and public property. So that's where we will come out and we will post camps so that those people know that they need to move their stuff, and we will notify private property owners generally. So we have no issue doing that. But just know, so we've had that misconception before that people have asked us to clean up camps on private property, and that's just not something that we're allowed to do. So did you have another question, John?
Well, that was, it's interesting that you hit on that, because that was kind of going to be my next question, because behind the north end of the center, it's a very, you know, it's a really long strip of stores. And the north end of the center, if you were to go to the north and then just west of the last tenant's space, which is a spa right now, you would see it's a fenced-in area basically behind that building. And we have had a problem where they've managed to get in there and sort of set up camp.
Well, Matt and I will both be here in the morning, and we'll make sure to get out and check it out.
Okay, and I'll just pass all this on to Scott Shore, my property manager, and he may ask for a quick recap when he gets back in town.
Yeah, you can always funnel him to me. Sarah and Tom both have my contact information.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And John, just to let you know, John, this is recorded, so if you want me to send it to Scott so he can listen.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
And then Sarah, we have a camp over in Lakewood City Commons between Noodles and Chipotle. So I don't know if anybody's noticed that one. It's kind of down in the grassy area, so the corner of Wadsworth and Alameda, and it's right between Noodles and Chipotle. I know I say Chipotle wrong, sorry, but anyway.
We're aware of that camp, Sonia, and
But yeah, they have tents and.
Yep. So we're aware of it, and we've actually contacted the gentleman who's in there. So we're ongoing working with that. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then I have one quick question, and I don't think that these people are homeless. I just wonder what the rules are. We have, and it usually pops up in spring and summer, but we have several families that kind of stand in King Supers, you know, with their guitars and things like that, and they ask for money, and they have like small children with them. Are you guys aware of that, those families, or?
I'm sorry, you cut out a bit. What was the question?
Okay. Oh, we have some families that come around in spring and summer right in front of King Soopers, and they play music and they have small children with them, and they're kind of asking for money. Is that in the same kind of genre? Like, do we call you guys or?
Sonia, this is Alex. We've been notified by King Soopers, and we've had Front Range patrols push them aside. I mean, we asked them to run along. It's a matter of that, you know, as soon as our security patrol leaves, they'll get right back on site. But if you could contact me whenever this happens, I can send out our security patrol people.
Okay. Perfect.
other-
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions for CAT team? All right, if anything comes up, feel free to funnel those questions through Sarah or Tom and they'll get a hold of me.